So the first drift car I ever saw drifting in my whole life was this road in Victoria, Rumble Road, and looped in, followed by a couple of other guys. Yeah, just screaming past.
We're running into issues. We can shift our entire band of channels over, and now we're clear of everything.
That might be the secret source that gets sort of everything working. You have to work for like the US government, you need to be a US citizen, and a company that's verified by the US State Department to be able to get access to these chips. So it was either go there, maybe get arrested for whatever, or get them and come back.
I think as long as you're not leaving all the Wallies laying out on a table open, you should be all right.
Yeah.
Just, bring them back to the hotel room and dust them off. Of these 3 sets of wheels, which ones do you regret selling the most? The Work CRKs, the Wed Sport SAs, or the Raygram lights in both luminous pink and yellow?
And it's sort of the unspoken Jacob Gittins rule.
I'll take it. Listen, I was told by a very dear friend for years that $5 is $5, and we are going to help you save $5 right now. So if you're looking at going to an FD event, you can save $5 by using one of the discount codes down below. They are available to you. Now, that being said, we're only doing 50 per event. So if you haven't bought your tickets yet, you need to jump on those right now. Save yourself $5. Use one of the discount codes down below. This episode is brought to you by a brand that I absolutely love. I have owned Nomatic gear for so long now. And admittedly, it took a lot of messages, a lot of DMs, but I finally got through and convinced them to support this show. And now they're super stoked about it. They're absolutely pumped about everything we're doing here on the podcast. And they're offering you a 15% discount off of their incredible bags and apparel, everything else that they've got on the go. So check that link down below, click it. Discount will be applied at checkout. But you can also win one of the Nomatic travel backpacks. I have been daily driving one for over a year now, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's got so much room for everything. I could fit my laptop, my tablet, all my charging stuff. Honestly, I could actually do an entire weekend at FD just using this backpack. It is that good. It fits so much stuff. It is built for flying. It is built for travel. It is incredible. And you could win it too by heading over to outerzonepod.com, filling out the information to enter the giveaway. Make sure you're following us. Make sure you're following Nomatic, and you're entered in to win. And if you're a premium podcast listener, you're already entered to win the Method carry-on luggage, which I've also been using for over a year. I put almost 100 flights on it already, and it looks brand new. It's incredible. So thank you so much, Nomatic. If you want to check out their gear, check the link down below. You click that link. That way they know we sent you. It's greatly appreciated, and you're saving yourself 15%. So thank you once again, Nomatic, for supporting the podcast.
Waiting to see this hand in person for years.
That's not well done. That's congratulations.
I have this vacuum video where...
That's a bad Mac.
Do you need us to stop talking?
You kind of gave me the chills a little bit, but...
I mean, what are they going to do? Come get me a ticket? It's on YouTube.
You do dive into some stuff, don't you?
He's the hero we needed.
We're doing this inside the Texas Roadhouse.
Hope you are not in Prospect next year.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Outerzone, the official podcast of Formula Drift. My name is Jacob Gittins, and we've got Michael. I'm not even going to dare pronounce your last name.
Come on, try.
I got to pull it up. I don't have it memorized. Where is it? Hang on.
Come on, man. I'm actually a little bit heartbroken by that. How much have we hung out? Come on, man.
I don't know your last name. Oh, now I'm getting embarrassed here.
Give it a go.
I warned you. I warned you that I was going to embarrass you, but...
Give it a go.
Let me see if I can pull this
you now by your poor enunciation of Italian words.
No,
so.
It's all good. It's all good. Italian's not even as hard.
Dude, I've heard you say the most.
Vernuccio.
Close, dude. I've heard you say the most Vernuccio. I've heard you say the most craziest European words that W's are Z's and I's are C's and you just they flow out of your mouth like nothing. And dude, Vernuccio, come on, please.
I know. It's all good. What I did want to ask though is your middle name actually Fox, or is that your SoundCloud profile?
No, that's a bit of a funny one.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we want to start like this already, but back in my 20s, I was a DJ, local DJ in Victoria here. And yeah, my DJ stage name was Mick Fox. So
Mick Fox. Was that like the Loophole days?
Loophole days.
There was like an underground music thing. I think it was called
Dude,
Loophole.
how much digging have you done?
A lot. I warned you. You should have listened to other shows before we got into this.
Yeah, so you were close. Loop Sector was the band's name, Loop Sector. And actually, Victor Navarro was my friend that you met in Berlin that knocked on the door and you were like, hey, can you give me some Goss and Michael so I can sing him later? But yeah, me and Victor, the guy that you met in Berlin, we were part of that group Loop Sector and I was a bass player. But no, the DJ Mick Fox came a little bit after that when I was in my 20s. So Loop Sector was when I was about 16, 17. So younger musician days, and sort of carried that through into my 20s when Mick Fox was the guy, the local DJ guy. Yeah,
I like it. I like it. Are you doing any music stuff now, or just kind of just enjoying it?
No, I'm more of a consumer than anything else. If I had to pick an alternative career that I could practice other than what I'm doing now, it would be in music in some fashion. Okay. But the music industry in Australia is kind of, as you'd imagine, pretty tough to get a break out of. So I've definitely had my time in the spotlight, which was awesome, and it sort of gave me credence in that pathway. But I sort of, the music stuff sort of came to an end where it was like, I wasn't really supporting my my life. I wasn't making enough money to support my life, so I had to transition my career from music to software and engineering and stuff. So that was around my 20s, and that's sort of what gave birth to where we are today, actually, which is quite an interesting one.
Yeah, I was curious how that transfers over when it coming from the music. Like I think music producers now are edging closer every day to software engineers anyways, or at least heavy users of it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then, there's clearly a path to that, similar with like the BMX to drifting path, or skateboarding to drifting, or moto to drifting. So it's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I like music, like the way I approach it, because I was always a bit of a computer guy. I studied computers, obviously. And there's a lot of engineering that actually goes into modern music, which I kind of found really interesting. So like, tweaking, layering sounds and adjusting frequencies and how they stack together. And like, there's a lot of it actually engineering behind the song that you don't really hear as like a normal consumer music. But when you get into the nuts and bolts of producing music, which was what I was doing, it's sort of, there's a beautiful elegance in the engineering behind it all, which I kind of was attracted to. So.
Yeah, it's one of those where if it wasn't there, you would notice that it was missing, right? Like everybody knows a poorly mastered song, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's not a good recording or it wasn't mastered well, like you can tell. You may not know what it is or put your finger on it or call it by something, but we all know a bad song. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So. Yeah. So a little bit of music back in my early days, but I studied computers throughout high school. I started a diploma of computer science and mathematics at a local university. It's actually where I met my wife, which was a really cool story. And I don't know if you want to get into how the whole drifting thing started, but it was around that time.
Okay. So around the time that you were in school is also when drifting kind of came into your life? Yeah.
So the story is, I was at university doing university guy things, and a friend was like, "Hey, there's this shit going on in the industrial areas of Victoria. Do you want to? It's really crazy. You want to come have a look?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm into cars." My dad worked in the automotive industry for a little bit, so around cars a bit. So it's like, "Yeah, come have a look. It's really cool." And so we stand, and if you're from Victoria, you probably know this spot quite well. There's this famous road called Arundel Road in Victoria. It's kind of near the airport. And it's a bit of a mountain pass. And on the top of this one particular corner, there's like this perfect viewing spot. Perfect. And so anyway, there's like 10 guys. I've never met these guys before, me and this guy. And we hear these cars in the distance, obviously drifting up this hill. And then all of a sudden they're screaming past sideways. And like my head went poof. Yeah. Funny enough, the lead car, and if he's watching, he'll know, it was this 4-door 32 and the driver was Luke Fink. So the first drift car I ever saw drifting in my whole life was this road in Victoria, Arundel Road, and Luke Fink, followed by a couple of other guys, just screaming past. And I was like, something in my brain just went snap. And the next day I went out and bought a 180. So
that was, I think I was the white one.
Yeah, geez, you're good, man. Yeah, I had a white Type X. It was like freshly imported. It was stock as a rock. It was beautiful. So I went out and bought that Type X pretty much like within a week of seeing Luke bang around that C road. So on that road, that industrial, it's like a back of an industrial road near the airport on this hill. So it's kind of a cool spot. It's a famous spot if you're drifting from Victoria in that area, you probably know it. So I went out and bought that 180, which was really cool. And it was so nice. I did drift it a little bit, but it was so clean and nice. And I started to bang it up a little bit. I sold that. And then I bought this like black S14, which I'm not sure your investigation has discovered, but I bought a black S14. And then that was around the time where I finished my computer science degree and had my first job effectively in IT. And that's where I met the co-founder of Race Labs, Jeremy. And it was kind of a crazy story. He was a V8 guy. He had a green SS Ute, which is like a LS powered Ute. And there was a park up the road, and we used to kick the footy at lunch. It was, one of the things that you do as a 20-year-old when you're at work, you go kick the footy at lunch. Mm-hmm. And he always used to drive. And then one day I'm like, come and jump in my car and I'll show you what all this Japanese stuff's about. And we went there and it hit boost, and he's like, he had the same like effect when Luke went past that road. He was like, what the hell's this? I'm like, this turbo dude's mad. And it had one of these old school AVCR boost controls. I don't know if you remember them.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Blue screen. And it had modes, and I think it was mode A, B, and C. And it was on like it was basically low boost, medium boost, and high boost. And I think low boost, we're talking 20 years ago, it was like £8 or whatever. And it was pretty, like back in the day, it was pretty quick. Push you back in the seat. Medium boost was like 12 or 14. And then he's like, what's C? What does C do? I'm like, dude, that's experimental. I've never put it on that before. He's like, do it. And I think it was on like gate pressure, which would have been like infinite boost or whatever. And it pulled, like it just went. It was the first time I ran it. Like I was definitely risking the motor playing with it. But what do we know back then, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, put the experimental amount of boost on. This thing like smashes down the street. And Jeremy sold his Ute, and I think he bought a 32, and that was sort of the start of me and Jeremy's friendship and professional career pathway, I guess.
Okay. What year approximately are we in at this point?
Geez, so I finished school in 2003. I was at university for 5 years. So that brings us up to 2008, and then it was probably the year after that, so maybe 2009 or 2010, give or take.
Okay. And you guys were working together. Was that like an office supply place?
No, it was a SEO company. This was search engine optimization. Yeah, so this was like in SEO's really early days.
Damn. Yeah, that's like old keyword stuffing days. And
yeah. Links and like changing stuff in footers.
Backlinks.
So this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was that. Like really early days of like Google optimization. And I was, being a computer science graduate, I was the tech guy. So I would be on web pages changing links and talking to customers and working with servers and writing scripts and all that sort of stuff. So that's where I met Jeremy. We sort of kicked it off really well over cars. We stayed friends ever since. I left that company after maybe a year or two. But again, we stayed friends. And then I started working for a big corporate. Software engineering. I started as sort of a junior sort of level, and I worked there for about 10 years, and I worked my way up to like a senior guy. Okay. But during that period, me and Jeremy still stayed friends. We went to Outerzone together. We did heaps of drifting stuff together, worked on each other's cars. Like we stayed sort of friends, which is really cool. So we were drifting, and we were sort of two technical guys. Jeremy's probably one of the best back-end engineers that I've ever met in my life. I've worked with some really talented people over my career, again in the corporate world, and some other roles that I've done. by far one of the best guys I've ever met. And he's like, Steve Jobs summed it up really well, where like you want to hire lazy engineers because they do like
yes. Yeah,
and he's kind of like a lazy engineer. So we'll sit around and say, hey man, I got this idea for X. And Jeremy will sit there and be like, yeah, cool, leave it with me for a minute. He's like, let me sit with it. I'll ponder it. Instead of just doing my crazy idea straight away, he'll go off and he'll spend a day or a week thinking about it, not doing anything, and it'll ship me up the wall because I'm like, come on man, I've got this idea. Let's do it. It's mad. Let's go. Come on. Like just you do you and put in the system and let's go. Come on. So,
make the magic. Yeah.
Make it work. So like a good example, you had some ideas with some updates and I'm like, hey, Jacob sent us this, how awesome. let's just jam him in. Come on, like chop, let's go. And he's like, no, I've got to think about it for a bit. So he's got that very analytical, robotic mind where he likes to consume a concept before he goes and does the engineering for it. But when he does the engineering for it and when he executes it, it's like perfect. And it's kind of cool. We've got sort of a synergy, me and Jeremy. So basically, Race Data Labs is I do most of the hardware / firmware stuff and obviously the event stuff. And Jeremy and some others, we're a bit of a dynamic team now. But Jeremy is sort of the brains behind the whole back end. So most of the stuff that you've played in is the front end that he's built, and he built all the back end. So that's sort of the dynamic of how that relationship works. But yeah, he'll think about a concept for a while. And yeah, the synergy is I'll ask him to do something, he'll think about it, he'll plan the best way to execute it. He'll challenge me on a couple of things. I don't think that's a great idea. I think this is a good concept, but let's tweak it a little bit. But then he'll know that I'll always follow up like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? So he knows sort of what I'm going to ask him before I ask him in some instances. So, but I guess that just comes with working with someone for, 15 years. So,
I mean, there's a lot of couples that don't stay married that long, let alone, two people that work together that long.
It's actually a really, I would say, beautiful relationship that we have. And I say this with the utmost respect to anyone else out there in the industry trying to do similar stuff to us, but the knowledge and relationship and just the broad scope of knowledge and drifting in IT, I don't think there's any combination of two people out there in the world that have our capability. And obviously I'm a bit biased, but truthfully, like his back end knowledge and drifting knowledge and my overall knowledge and what I can do, the two of us together, like we're a formidable team. Like we're pretty strong in what we're doing, and we've grown through the ages. So you probably saw that at one point, me and Jeremy worked on another telemetry product.
Driftbit.
Maybe I've seen that. Driftbit, yeah. So that was one of our earlier projects. So we took, obviously that was a great project actually. That sort of got COVIDed quite well, where we developed a product, it's ready to go, and we had a runway of cash up to about March 2020. And yeah, COVID hit March of 2020. So we had this product ready to go. And unfortunately, every racetrack around the world closed, and the market for our product that we've been developing for a little while had fallen through. So that was sort of the end of Driftbit, unfortunately. But Race Data Labs and its form would not exist without the learnings from that project. So yeah, from a business and project perspective, obviously it failed. But it's one of those things you never in the guise of a fail, there's always like learnings and whatnot. So obviously the learnings and everything that we learned from that project we developed as people, we developed our knowledge, and then we applied our learnings to other areas. And sort of where Race Data Labs wasn't born from Driftbit, but we definitely took some of the learnings and lessons from that.
Yeah, I think any project is it's always going to end up being like the sum of the previous parts, right? Like you need to fail, you need things to go wrong, you need whatever, right? Yeah, unfortunately, COVID to shut shit down to be like, oh, okay, this is what we realized is the problem with this, and then continue on. And yeah, it seems like this idea, or at least the idea of having accurate data readings, especially when it comes to GPS, has kind of been like a long pursuit for you. I actually found something from 2017, which was a post, which was consumer GPS isn't that accurate at around 10 meters. Let's reduce that to less than 0.5 meters by utilizing IoT nodes sharing GPS correction data. Like, man, you did some, that's in 2017. Well, I want to know, man. Like, I want to figure out how long this has been stuck in your head. And at least as far as I can go back, 2017 seemed to be the first part where I could go back and go like, this is Michael going, there's a problem. I want to do something. There's a massive problem. And it has to do with data integrity and to the millimeter tracking of GPS coordinates. How the hell can we fix it? Now, unfortunately, nobody replied to your thread, but it does show that you were working on it at least back then.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm trying to think back if I posted anywhere, but I actually tried to make a Driftbox emulation app. So Driftbox, we know, is the piece of hardware that's, I believe, still used in D1GP. It was made by a company called, can't recall now, but about 20 years ago it was developed. And I was a software engineer at the time. I used to write pretty much exclusively in Java, which is the native language of Android. So I was a Java developer when I was at my corporate job. Just dabbling in some apps and obviously drifting a bit. I'm like, I think I can write a clone of Driftbox using the phone and its sensors in the phone. You know, my understanding of how Driftbox works was it had a GPS and had a gyroscope in it. I'm like, well, the phone's got that. Let's see if I can emulate it. So off I went. I wrote this prototype app, but I then discovered that the GPS module in the phone was not accurate enough, and the gyroscope module in the phone was not accurate enough. So just for some perspective, the GPS module that's in your phone, obviously they buy these by the millions, like hundreds of millions, but they're like $1 or less. Yeah. And, for what they are, they give an incredibly good amount of accuracy for what you're doing, driving down the road and walking down the street and stuff like that, but not accurate enough to do slip angle or drift angle. So, and the gyroscope in the phone wasn't good enough as well. So some modern gyroscopes have this problem where they have drift. So if you leave a gyroscope on a table flat and it doesn't move, over time the gyroscope's reading will eventually just drift out. And effectively, the quality of the gyroscope minimizes this drift. So like gyroscopes in submarines, they're worth like millions of dollars and they don't do that at all. Or they might drift like 1 degree over a month. But like a cheap gyroscope that's in your phone might drift 10 degrees a minute. So, oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that much. Okay. Yeah. So they jump around degrees a minute. So like some are like pretty, like it might jump a degree every 10 seconds. And they fluctuate and they do like little buzzing. There's other technology out there called IMUs, which is a gyroscope and accelerometer fused together. And it's actually some of the tech that we use in because it could negate the drift if there's no accelerometer reading, right? Exactly. Yeah. So these modern IMUs, the chip's called an IMU. They use this process called sensor fusion, where the motion sensor won't detect any movement, and it will use that to filter out some of the gyro drift. It still happens though. Again, it's a cost versus accuracy thing, and that's sort of the world that Race Data Lab, I imagine, a lot of other companies play with that are doing, data capture, where it's a cost versus accuracy reading. So, like, a general rule of thumb: the more expensive the component is, the more accurate it is. So, I don't know if we want to get into this right now. If we're talking about our journeys, bro, we got time, man. I think it's important. Yeah. So the philosophy, again, this is from learnings of 20 years of doing stuff like this. I'm working in IT and hardware. The philosophy of Race Data Labs is we do whatever we can to have the data be as best as it can be. So if that means the device is big, fat, and ugly, the device is going to be big, fat, and ugly. If it means that the antenna on the roof is going to be this big, that's just, so we always put the data first. So, so the GPS modules that are in the Wally system are literally the best we could buy without going, like you can buy better ones, but you need to be like working for the government. And there's
gotcha.
And like you have to work for like the US government. You need to be a US citizen and a company that's verified by the State Department to be able to get access to these chips. So the ones that we use are the best that we can get our hands on. And not only that, they don't work straight off the shelf. So we worked with the GPS chip manufacturer, and we work with them to write our custom firmware for these chips. So not only do we have to, they're a vendor for us, but they're effectively a technical consultant with us. And we develop the firmware on the actual chip to make the Wally system do its magic. So yeah, you can't just buy these things and put them in the device. So I can't even tell you the investment that, it's not that we knew that it was going to be this much. We're like, hey, we think that these are the best chips on the market that we think can do it. We bought some, we prototyped them, and we found holes in it. And we worked with as I said, we worked with the manufacturer, and we said, hey, we've discovered these anomalies. What can we do to fix it? And they're like, yeah, cool. Well, that's because of this satellite doing this, and that's because of this carrier phase issue, blah, blah, blah. To correct it for your specific application, they're going to have to rewrite the firmware for this particular chip. And FYI, there's 2 chips on there. So there's custom firmware on both.
Is that to get the actual slip angle then? Like you need to have a front and a rear one?
Yeah, so that's part of it. So yeah, there is a front and a rear. That's why the device is sort of oblong shape. And yeah, the dimensions and everything that it is. So yeah, it does use 2. And yeah, we do have some modern IMUs in there as well. So it uses a combination of things to get it to do its magic. But yeah, we had to like custom configure and custom software for the GPS modules that are in the device. So, yeah. So again, it sort of plays back to that homage of the data is always first. And we do whatever we can to make sure that the data has, we call it integrity. The integrity of the data is it's every other decision is based from that. It's like,
right.
Cool. Can we go and do this event where we think the data isn't going to be accurate? And we're obviously up front, sometimes we say no. Like we've been asked to do events that are indoors. I think Poland is probably the most significant one that we've given a crack. But, you know, we've been asked from other organizations, hey, we're doing this activation, but it's inside a warehouse. We're like, the data is not going to be great and it's not worthwhile doing. So, but yeah, every decision from, sort of top down is the best, you know, who is the best, what is the best way of correcting these GPS issues? All right, well, let's hire the actual GPS manufacturer and fix it. We could have got, you know, shopped online and found some, but the best people to do it were those guys. Who is the best RF engineer? Well, we found what we think is the best RF engineer, radio frequency engineer, to design the circuit board. So there's 4 radios on the there's 4 antennas on the device. And obviously that's a pretty complicated RF environment for the device to be in. So there's 2 GPS antennas. There's the antenna for the radio. There's an RFID antenna, and there's another antenna on the microprocessor. So 5. And obviously that's a very complicated electro and radio frequency environment. So we hired the best guy that we could. And the guy that we hired that was actually a Boeing engineer who worked on like stealth planes for Boeing.
Oh, sick.
And he also did some stuff for torpedoes at Boeing. So torpedoes navigate themselves effectively blind using gyroscopes and IMUs and stuff like that. So yeah, the best guy. So as a bit of philosophy of, you know, again, all our learnings and where Race Data Labs is and what we wanted to achieve, it was, if it's not the best and we think it's going to be subpar, then it's not an option, but we just don't do it. So again, like the antenna, the GPS antennas in the device are the best we could get and fit in the thing. So yeah, it's a lot of that going on.
Well, that's the other part too, is the actual packaging of them is, I mean, all things considered, it's relatively small. Like this could be a device that's the size of a full, briefcase on every single car. And it's like, they're really not that bad. Cause that's the other part too, is you have to be able to put them on the vehicle, have them hold at, whatever, 150 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
200 kilometers an hour.
We've had. Yeah.
170. And admittedly, I've seen a few take flight, but
it's
usually because of very flappy roofs. But
yeah,
I think I was sitting next to you when Falvey launched one, and you're just like, well, and gave me a rough estimate as to what that cost.
Twice. Yeah, happened twice. But yeah, no, that's a great thing. So they're engineered as a bit of a package. Obviously, size and height and all that is a thing to consider. But yeah, like for example, the antenna manufacturer says that, so an antenna is generally yay big. It's probably give or take that big. But the manufacturer says they need to be on what's called a ground plane of a size X. And yeah, you could probably make it smaller, but you'll probably lose 10% of its performance. So we could make it smaller and lose. And these things are very, very dynamic. So it might work perfectly well in Muscat in the Middle East at OADC, but then you take it to Ireland at Mondello, and there's different satellites there, and there's different, RF environments, and it doesn't work great there. So we had to, again, best practice was just to do everything as best as we could. So yeah, but part of that is making the packaging good. And yeah, there's also other things to consider, like we need to put 16 of these things in a case and put them on a plane. So they had to be a specific size to fit on a case on a plane. Yeah, they needed to be of a size that would fit on the roof of a car. And every car has a different curvature of its roof. An S13 has like a slight curve, whereas like an A90 Supra has like an indentation on it. So they had to be engineered in a way that they'd sort of fit every roof that we thought they'd go on. Yeah, so all things considered, like we think we've pretty much got, and we're working on a new version. Version 9, I believe it is. That's coming up.
I was going to ask you what version you're on. So version 9.
Version 9. Yeah, version 9. There's been, effectively we do 2 versions a year. But there's like stages in between. So you'll see that the version coming out for this season is a little bit taller. The devices previously were 30 mils tall. I don't know how much that is in Imperial, but they're 33 mils tall, 3 centimeters. Yeah. And now they're jumping up to about 5.5, so a little bit taller. That's because we've upgraded the internals, and the manufacturer says, hey, move the antenna base off the surface of the vehicle because there's these issues. So again, best foot forward, data comes first. And yeah, that means the devices are going to be a little bit bigger. You might notice them a little bit more, but 2 centimeters are probably, from your eye and where the distance of the cars are, you probably won't notice too much, but yeah, they're a little bit taller this year.
Are you planning on changing colors or sticking with that high-vis yellow?
Yeah, they originally were yellow, and that was more of a awareness thing. So yeah, the first, 6 months to 12 months, they were yellow just because we wanted to stand out. So people would sit on the roof and go, hey, what's that thing on that roof? And
it worked.
It worked, yeah. So that was the whole objective of making them yellow and stand out. But I feel like we've sort of achieved that goal of awareness. So I dare say that, we're pretty recognized in the industry at the moment that if there's an oblong shaped thing on the roof, it's the Wally device. So I believe we've hit our awareness target. And because the device did get a little bit bigger and a little bit taller from, like generation 2 to generation 3 or 4, which was last year, I felt like we hit our awareness goals, and to make them a little less subtle. So, to make them more subtle. So yeah, they were black. They had yellow accents. And actually, because they're going higher again, we're actually going to dial the accents down a little bit as well. So they're going to be as stealthy as we can make them this year. Because the footprint of them is just a little bit bigger. So yeah, less accents. So there was like a little. We custom make a lot of these things. There was like a little yellow waterproofing antenna plug so we'd screw the antenna in and then we'd put another cover over it to make them waterproof. And that was yellow. Like it was just like an accent piece. But yeah, now that's black. So, and that yellow piece was sort of at the top, but yeah, now that's black. But yeah, the colors are generally black and yellow, but they're mostly going to be black now.
Is there a part of building or assembling these where you're kind of like, oh, this is a really weird issue that I was not expecting to run into? Like you talked about this, the dent in the super roof. Has there been something like that as part of this process that's just like so obscure or strange? You're like, I didn't even know this was a thing.
I think trying to get them to work with best practice and best data forward in as many regions and on as many vehicles as possible was sort of an interesting nuance as well.
Yeah, regions I could see being tough because like satellite coverage varies so much, and then dealing with cities versus rural and
yeah. So that's definitely a thing. So that was definitely a challenge, and sort of credit to the team. We've pretty much covered all that. I think the biggest thing was the radios.
Okay.
So a lot of people don't know this, but each country is governed and its radio frequency is governed by the government. And depending what country you're in, they have different protocols on how you can use radio waves effectively. We initially built the system to work with a particular radio, and we tested them and ran them in Australia for like 6 or 7 months, and they worked flawlessly, brilliant, great. We thought we'd solve that. We took the exact same devices to Mondello in Ireland, and they didn't work at all. That was the first Drift Masters round. It was more of a bit of an expo more than anything with the Drift Masters guys, but it was kind of crazy. So we tested them, worked great, and then I was in the judging tower as I usually am, and I had a walkie-talkie from the production team, and I had a walkie-talkie from my guys. With the Wally system, obviously we put them on the cars, and there's a couple of guys out in the pits putting them on cars, and we have another guy, looking at some of the stream of data coming in and out. And I had a radio from production going, the system's going hot in 3, 2, 1. And then as soon as 3, 2, 1 happened, the guys on my team, our radio started yelling, "What's going on? Something's happened. It's all stopped. We're not getting any data. Something's happened. Michael, what's going on? Did you power down?" And there was this big panic. So the devices receive data and then they send data. It's a two-way communication, and they give a status. There's a status light on the device when they receive, so we can visually see if the devices are working. And it's like, "Hey, Michael, the devices are stopped." They flash blue. The devices are stopped flashing blue. What's going on? What's going on there? I'm like, "What have you guys done?" Like, it was this massive panic. And it turns out the Drift Masters production team, which arguably one of the biggest and best live production teams in the world, as soon as they flicked all their systems on, it basically knocked our system. Well, it knocked our system out of the airwaves. So,
wow.
So they lay a lot of infrastructure when they go to a track. They've got roaming cameras and roaming mics and drones and just like, lots of high-end productions. Driftmasters is probably one of the bigger ones that we've worked with. But they lay fiber optic cable around the track, and each point there's like a camera and there's a radio and there's walkie. So as soon as their system went hot, it knocked ours out. Shit. So we showed the Driftmasters guys the data that we captured before all that happened. Obviously, it was a massive kick in the teeth. Like, we went all the way to Ireland and the thing didn't work. But they were impressed enough with what we captured during practice and before the production started that they said, "Hey, we think you guys are onto something. Obviously, this is the environment we can work in. If you guys can work out of it and come up with a solution, let us know and we'll talk again." So we effectively went all the way back to Australia and we re-engineered another radio solution. And we missed one round, and then we went to the following round. Geez, I can't even remember what that was now.
I don't know what it would come after, because that was
So it was after Finland.
Germany? No, is that the year they skipped Germany?
Yeah, I can't remember. 2 years ago, so it was Ireland something, and then anyway, we went there and it worked great. And And we're like, great, thank you. We spent a lot of money, we fixed it, we solved it. And then we took it to the Middle East and it didn't work. The ultimate solution was that we build our own radios now.
Got it.
So we don't buy an off-the-shelf digital radio that you can buy from wherever. So we hired another radio engineer who custom builds radios. And so not only have we got custom-made radios, the custom-made radios need custom firmware. So we wrote the firmware for our custom radios as well. So it's not practically the radio solution's not anything off the shelf. And yeah, imagine the expense of that. So like a radio, they range from $1,000 all the way down to like $50. But we are building our own and we engineered our own and we've built the firmware for our own. So that's the sort of level that we had to get these as universal as possible.
So does that, I guess like you've obviously done stuff in the States already with clutch kickers. So, you kind of have worked through that, but is that like a conversation that you already have with FD where you're like, hey, can we do a double check on your radio protocol? Or is it something where, let's say you get to Long Beach, I believe you guys are testing very early from my understanding, where you can be like, we're running into issues. We can shift our entire band of channels over and now we're clear of everything.
Yeah, well, it goes back to working with the local government or the authority in each country. And we effectively, they have radio frequency bands that you can buy. So we buy them for a specific period for an event. And that's called like frequency.
Crystal. Is it called like a crystal channel or something? Where it's like, this is your rented bandwidth or?
Yeah, so in the industry, it's just a radio frequency license. So we license a particular band off the government for a period of time. And we should be the only people that are using that band. And we obviously work with the event. So the event guys will have like a bunch of bands for the drones and a bunch of bands for the walkie-talkies and a bunch of bands for the microphones and the cameras and stuff. And this is where it kind of gets interesting. We work in a frequency band that has really, really low bandwidth. So generally the frequency band that we work, no one else really touches because it doesn't carry a lot of data. So we had to engineer the device to work in a way that would transmit exactly only what it needed and nothing else. So like a good example, not to give too much away, the devices will only talk when they need to. So when they're in the pits, they don't fill this small frequency band that we have of data. So they'll only transmit at the start line and stop transmitting at the finish line. So we've engineered it in a way where, and we've absolutely maxed this frequency channel that we have out, where two devices, again, they're sending and receiving. So it's sort of like a dance. There's a base station that's sending data, one device sends data back, and then the second device sends data back. So it's kind of like a dance, and it's perfectly engineered down to the millisecond. Wow. And yeah, if we wanted, like, there's no more. The frequency cannot carry any more bandwidth. But it's also kind of awesome because this particular frequency band that we get access to, generally around the world, no one really uses. So we generally, no one's using that frequency band, you can go for it. It doesn't have much interference because no one's using it. So yeah, again, this was all part of the engineering process. I'm working with the guy from Boeing, and it was like, you know, it'd be really cool. It might be really difficult, but if you can get your total bandwidth that you use down to this level, you can use this particular frequency band and you shouldn't have any problems around the world because it's generally allocated. It's actually a telemetry allocated channel.
Cool.
Yeah. So he's like, if you can get your data down to this, that might be the secret sauce that gets sort of everything working. Like, cool. And yeah, the engineering to get all that working was so yeah, we use multiple techniques to reduce the data size. There's a bunch of encryption going on. Think like zipping a file. So there's a lot of that going on, and so we compress it
as
a lot.
opposed to just sending raw data. You're sending a compressed file, which utilizes an algorithm to decompress. So is there like much packet loss in between those transmissions, or is there something on the other side that is able to like map that missing data?
Yeah, great question. So we know exactly when the devices should be sending data back, and they're allocated a window, effectively a window. So the system knows when the device has missed sending something. But we capture data with such a nice amount that, we use a mathematical technique called interpolation, where we can fill in gaps of missing data to a degree. So if there's 1 point missing out of like 10, we can fill it in mathematically. And, we've validated this by, we've deleted a row, use our algorithm to try and fill in the data to replicate the data loss and to see how accurate it was with the actual data that it lost. And it's perfect. It's really good. But to a degree. So, if it's 1 or 2 points over a second, no problem. But when it's maybe half the points of the second, it becomes a problem. It guesses where it could be and tries to fill them in. But we get an alert on the back end saying there's an issue with this run because there's amount of data loss, and the system will have a crack at trying to fill in the gaps. But we'll get an alert for that saying that, there's packet loss or there's data integrity loss. So part of the packet that we get is a accuracy metric. So a packet effectively says the position of the car, the speed it's traveling, its heading, which is the direction of which the front of the car is heading, its direction of travel, so that's how we draw a drift angle, and 4 or 5 other things, and an accuracy reading. And the accuracy that our threshold is 5 centimeters. Anything beyond that is considered bad data. So we work with 5 centimeters or less. So that's our tolerance. And we get an alert where, I know it sounds pretty crazy, but we get an alert
That's
where
wild. Yeah.
Yeah. We get an alert when there's significant amounts of packets that are lost. And that could be for a myriad of reasons. Low battery, there could be someone interfering. It could be, a bunch of things. We had guys in Kazakhstan with weird radios that were interfering with our channel. So they were using our channel that we had paid for. But we discovered that and we're like, hey, what radio? And they're like, we're using this. I'm like, that's ours, baby. Turn yours off. And they just flipped channels and everything was good after that. So that it does happen, but the system's smart enough and it says, this run is good, this run is shit, and here's the reasons why. And the system has further intelligence where it can have a crack at correcting some of this bad data. Like I said, with the interpolation stuff, that's one technique. But with GPS, sometimes when it's inaccurate, the data will break a traditional vehicle dynamics model.
Oh, right. Because there's a certain trajectory that the cars are just going to be on. Like
exactly.
There's physics still involved in what we do. So
So if you imagine like the car's driving down a straight line and the device is spitting out data, sometimes like the device will hop over really quick and then go down the road, keep going straight. So that hop, which is obviously error, it's breaking a vehicle dynamics model because a car can't dramatically just, if it's going in a direction, can't hop 2 meters over or 10 centimeters over without some anomaly. So the system has enough intelligence to detect that. It alerts us and it tries to correct it. That's sort of the manual process, but there's that process is built into it and there's enough intelligence built into it. But that's only been because, we've gone to event X and we've discovered something and this particular event, there was a couple of points of data that were incorrect. What can we do to fix it? All right, well, we built in this interpolation technique and we went to another event and the cars were hopping because there was an anomaly with one of the structures. We engineered, the system to try and detect these GPS hops or these anomalies and try and correct it. So it's only been for years of, development and experience and traveling this thing around the world where we've had that. We've been super fortunate to have that experience where we've been, given the keys to these guys' events and say, hey, take it to Mondello, take it to Riga, take it to the States, take it to Kazakhstan, take it to the Middle East. We're pretty privileged that we have these opportunities that allow us to continually develop the system and to make it as robust as possible. And like, you'd think after 3 years we've sort of learned everything, but geez, no way. Like, we're in Indonesia 2 weeks ago. Admit that was probably one of the most, it was hot and humid, and that was a challenge for the equipment. But outside of that, the data was pretty good. But yeah, we discovered that moisture is a thing inside. So we have a radio box that's the base station. Moisture can get into that and fuck with that. So we thought that was waterproof, and it's meant to be, but it's not. In Indonesian summer/winter humidity waterproof. So again, just part of the process and learning. Yeah.
You just wait for Florida. Yeah. I will say FD's timing of Florida is maybe not the best time of year to be here, but that's going to test you. It's been like torrential downpour, I want to say the last 3 years, but it's like for 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then absurd lightning storm, and then it'll be, 40 degrees out. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Well, I was speaking to Rome CP at Indonesia, and he was saying that last year at Long Beach, it rains like 3 times a year in Long Beach, and 2 of those days were during FD last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, prepare for that. But also he told us, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, do you know how salty the track gets? And I'm like, salty? What? He's like, yeah, the track is so close to the sea.
The ocean.
Yeah, the ocean that, after the track will go cold, and, the next day there'll be like layers of salt. He's like, have you dealt with that before? I'm like, well, that will be a first of, the devices.
I think as long as you're not leaving all the Wallies laying out on a table open, you should be all right. Just, bring them back to the hotel room and dust them off.
Well, obviously, they're our, the devices are our babies. Like, we spent, obviously, thousands and thousands of hours developing them. Obviously, a stupid amount of money developing them and working with them. But also, assembling them and programming them and traveling with them. And so we obviously look after them as best as possible. And it takes, they're so highly tuned and calibrated that it can take like a small chip of the PCB to put a device out of service.
Yeah.
And again, best data forward. If there's any if we think the device is not going to put out the best data, and we've got tools that calibrate these things and give us output of the performance of the device, they don't go into service. So again, we do our best to try and make sure the device is calibrated, tuned, working as best as it can before it goes on a car. And obviously looking after them and not leaving them out in the salty Long Beach weather is going to be part of that.
You'll enjoy it. It'll remind you of being in Sydney. It's, not that I've ever been, but I assume it's similar. It seems to have very similar weather patterns, so it'll be all right.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll let you know in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm 5 weeks.
Hi, thanks for the reminder of how much I still need to do.
It was 34 days yesterday. So
that's fantastic. Yeah. Almost a month out. It'll be all right.
Yeah,
I don't have that much work to do. I'm sure you've still got lots of things on the go, but
yeah. So as I mentioned, there's a new device that we've prototype tested. We tested it in Indonesia and in Muscat in Oman. Tested it. It did really well.
It looked really good in Oman, if that's the data I was looking at.
Yeah. So no, there was only one of these new prototypes that was out in the field.
Okay.
You probably didn't see it, but yeah. Part of my job is to always try and improve and innovate and take learnings and put them into the technology. And so while those 2 events were going on, we're testing a new prototype, and it's part of our process. It goes into a round of testing, we validate it, and then it goes into production. And that particular device is in production at the moment. So that's going to be ready in 2 weeks. So we've got to take raw circuit boards and then assemble them and then put them. We're going to courier them to the US. That kit's going to stay in the US.
So
yeah, we've got a lot of work to do in 33 days. And yeah, we need a week of transit time. So it's more like 20, 25 days for us before, things need to start going on planes and logistical stuff like that.
I think that's the best bet. I mean, for anybody listening, you and I hung out a lot last year, and this year we get to hang out twice as much. So that's fantastic. There's a lot of memories that we can't speak of, but it was there'll be even more. There'll be even more coming up.
Yeah, I think you're alluding to when so
the shaving ritual.
The shaving ritual, and also the devices getting stopped and locked up and lost in transit and stuff like that. I will let
you decide what story you want to tell. There are multiples of Wally's being sequestered to government offices and being held captive in different countries. And there, I will let you decide which one you want to display publicly, but is there one in particular, one situation where you're like, well, this sucked real bad?
Yeah. So I won't say the country.
Okay.
It was in the Middle East somewhere, and I was transiting through. So the devices have been lost in transit. So last year we did 26 events in, I believe from memory, 12 or so different countries. So they did a lot of traveling. So they were on at least 60 flights from what I can remember. I was on 65 flights. The devices were on about 60. Some of them stayed like with Drift Masters, and some of them stayed in America in different periods. So I traveled more than the devices. But yeah, from memory, they got stuck about 5 or 6 times where I would land at an airport, my bag would come off and I'd be there waiting at the luggage turnstile machine thing. And it would never come out. And I'd have to do the form and have to speak to the luggage guys and that process. So that happened 5 times. So the first time it happened, again, learning, we now allow an additional 24 hours in case the bags get lost. So if we have an event and we have to be there on a Wednesday, we generally arrive on the Monday or Tuesday to allow for the bags to get lost. Because it happens 5 times, which is about 10% of the times.
Just not a good statistic.
Yeah. So for our fellow travelers out there that are traveling with equipment, the general rule of thumb when a flight is oversold and they need luggage to be removed off planes, they take the heaviest stuff off first. And the case weighs 35 kilos, and it's marked as such, that it's a heavy item, 35 kilos. So they can take my bag off while the Wally case off a plane and put 2 people's bags on effectively. So that's what happens. And then they'll put it on the next flight and then it'll arrive 24 hours later or whatever. So that's what happens when you travel with large, heavy stuff, that it's marked large and heavy. And when they're taking stuff off planes, they go, that big, heavy thing there, that's coming off. And that is, and we've even paid there's a process within the airline industry where you can pay for priority luggage, access. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember what it's called.
They do it with media as well.
Get there. Yeah.
There's with media, you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can say that doesn't ring true at all because we've paid for that before and still they've been lost. The worst thing that ever happened was transiting through the Middle East. So that's generally a transit hub for me, being in Melbourne, Australia. So Melbourne, Australia to somewhere in the Middle East, and then to the Middle East, generally to Europe or some other country. In this particular case, was Melbourne to the Middle East to Budapest for Drift Masters Hungary. So I did and it's 30 something hours discussing. So it's 15 or 16 hours to the first stop. There's a layover of a couple of hours, and then to Budapest, I think it was 8 hours. So anyway, I landed in Budapest. My first bag come off, which is like my clothes and my just general luggage. And then I'm waiting, and then the bag pops out, and it's 35 kilos, and I've carried this thing around the world, and I pick it up, and it's light as a feather. So I don't know this is the first time that had happened. Like it'd been lost before, but it was the first time that had been light before, and it's locked. We put locks on it, and we put like zip ties with special IDs and stuff on it when we seal it. So So that's the first time that had happened. And I didn't know what the protocol was. So I called the security guard over and I'm like, hey, this bag is marked as 35 kilos. It's definitely not 35 kilos anymore. I can pick it up easily. I don't know what to do. I'm asking you because someone's tampered with it at some point. He's like, cool. They escort me to a room. This is in Budapest. They get a camera out. They film it. They open it up with the camera on. And everything was taken out of, most of the equipment was taken out of, the devices were taken out. We tried with a couple of computers and cables and shit like that. They were left in there, but the devices were taken out. Anyway, there was a note in there from this country's police saying that we have seized your items, please call this phone number. Driftmasters, we were meant to be on track, ready to go, and I was meeting a colleague there within like 24 hours or something. So part of our process, we go there, we set this system up, we survey the track. It takes a day or so, give or take. Anyway, I call this number and they're like, hey, we've got your equipment, yes, we've seized it. I can't say anything else other than that. If you want it back, you need to come and pick it up or we're destroying it in 24 hours. I think that's the policy that they destroy it 24 hours, 24 or 48 hours, I can't remember. Jeez, I wonder if I've got the note. I framed it. I framed it as part of the.
It might give away the country, history. But yeah.
Yeah, it's framed and it's hanging up somewhere. I won't get it. You have. So anyway, I called, and so I spoke to Jeremy and some other guys in the business, and I'm like, what should I do? Because this was so early in the stage that if we lost that equipment, the company was over. We didn't have enough money to replace it. And again, it's all custom made and it takes a while to, we just could not replace it. Obviously we would have lost that Driftmasters round. We would have definitely refunded them because we weren't there to provide the server. So it would have been pretty catastrophic. I spoke to some people in Australia, some lawyers and whatnot. And the worry was that I was going to get arrested.
Right.
And the Middle East being the Middle East, it's a bit of a language barriers and whatnot. Who knows? So the advice that I was given was not to go back. And hey, Michael, it is what it is. Unfortunately, if you go back, you're running a risk of getting arrested. And who knows what you could get arrested for. This was a year and a half ago, and there was some interesting stuff happening in the Middle East. There was journalists getting taken care of, and who knows, right? So the advice that I got from a few people was and there was an official Australian government, like not an official recommendation, but someone from the Australian, I won't say who, but someone spoke to someone from the Australian government and said, what should we do in this circumstance? He's like, I can't officially give you advice, but from our perspective, don't go back.
Yeah.
So the option was to just, all this hard work was basically gone and everything was, it was over and, it was a good journey and thanks for having us and that was it. Because again, it would have been the end of Race Data Labs because we couldn't afford to replace it. Or I hop on a plane and try and get the equipment back. And the consensus was with some of the people that I spoke with was that the police or the people that seized the items didn't know exactly what they were. They were just these yellow things with GPS antennas in them. I'm sure they x-rayed them and they didn't know what they were. And the consensus was there's probably a misunderstanding of what they are. And if you clear the misunderstanding and demonstrate what they are, and obviously you're not doing anything illegal, there's obviously no contraband in the devices. We weren't not doing drugs or anything, or there weren't knives in there or guns or explosives or anything in there. If you explain what they are clearly there, maybe they'll let you take them. So it was either go there, maybe get arrested for whatever, or get them and come back. So ultimately I make the decision to go back. So it was 7 hours back. And it's been about 30 hours now. So I've landed in Budapest. We're at the airport discussing this, lawyers, all that sort of stuff. Cool, I'm going back. Went on my laptop, booked the next flight. It was 4 hours later. Had a couple of beers, calmed the nerves, went back. 7 hours later, still haven't showered, hotel, nothing. I brushed my teeth in the car park at the Budapest airport. Back on the plane. Anyway, so I land back in this Middle Eastern country. I'm like, hey, I've got this letter. I'm here to present myself so I can engage with the conversation to try and resolve this issue so I can get the equipment and be on my way. They didn't arrest me straight away. But yeah, they put me in a room. They said, oh, yes, cool, come with us. Come here, come there. And it was like this back part of the airport that I'd never seen before. Generally, it was a police area of the airport. And yeah, I'll cut a long story short. I was there for the better half a day. I was effectively arrested and I was tried to sign a couple of documents that are in Arabic that I didn't understand, and they wouldn't let me access a lawyer and all this sort of stuff. So they said that the items were contraband, but they weren't because they didn't know what they were. And they wanted me to sign a document saying that I lied on my statutory declaration to go to check the luggage in when I was at the airport. So effectively it was 3 months in jail. But they were trying to make me sign this document admitting to these crimes that I hadn't committed. Sign this now. Why aren't you signing? What's wrong? Are you speaking, yelling at me in Arabic? I'm like, look, I don't understand. I'm crying. I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm crying.
Yeah, of course.
Wrong, you know? Look, I'm just a guy. I'm like a thing.
And it's like drift cars.
Yeah. And in the Middle East, my phone doesn't roam. So I had no internet, so I couldn't show him. So I was showing him on the officer's phone and he didn't believe me. And then, after 9 hours of like pure hell, like it was hand on heart, the worst 10 hours of my life. Like I had phone wasn't working. I couldn't communicate with anyone. I wasn't given any food. It was now hour 40 plus. They were trying to make me, it was 3 months jail. You're going to jail for 3 months. And I'm like, I haven't done anything wrong. He's like, you have. Sign this and let's get this. Like, it's already been 9 hours. Let's go. Sign, let's go. I'm like, it was hell. It was probably the worst of my whole life I've ever felt. And then eventually, they, out of nowhere, this other officer appears. They throw the equipment on the table and they go, get out. Just like, get out. I'm wiping tears off my face. I'm like, I can go?
Just
get out.
Piling it all up. Yeah.
So I literally put it back in the same case. I got out of there. I called my family. I'm like, hey, I'm okay. They were all freaking out because they hadn't heard from me because before I presented myself, I'm like, hey, I'm going in now. I don't know what to do, but if you don't hear from me for like a couple of hours, call the consulate or call someone. Yeah. So anyway, I get out. 500 million messages, 500 million missed calls. Are you okay?
Yeah, of course.
Are you all right? We've called this person, we've called that person. We're coming to the middle, like, and I'm like, hey, I'm out. They're like, have you got the? I'm like, yes, I got it.
I'm fine. Like, what do you mean? I have all of it. Don't worry.
I have all of it, and I'm okay. It was an ordeal, but anyway, long story short, well, long story long, really.
That's all good.
Equipment. Another plane back to Budapest, 8 hours. So we're up to hour 2 days in. Land in Budapest, and again, it takes about half a day to set everything up. And I think it was a 5-hour drive from Budapest airport to the track. Drive there, and the track, so once the track goes hot, we can't walk on the track surface, just a safety thing. So we have to do everything we need to do before practice starts. Anyway, we have like 5 hours. No, like 3 hours. So half the time we usually do. So we're running around, setting everything up, surveying the track. We've got a walkie-talkie. Hey guys, you need to vacate the track in 5, 4, and then you see us, I think we're on the camera, running off the track, cars start going, and we hadn't had a chance to test anything, nothing. Like sweat, I haven't slept, all the, like you can imagine. Cars start going, turn the system on, and it was fucking awesome.
It all works.
The radios worked. The event went great. We're in that glass box. I don't know if you can remember in Budapest, that judging tower.
I wasn't there, but I know which one you're talking about.
Oh yeah, that was with Ian and Dave.
Before my time.
This glass box, just sweating bullets, and the event went awesome. And this was still kind of early days. And yeah, the event went awesome. We effectively, from that point, it was like, we'd proven ourselves, as like, we're prepared to do what it needs to do. Like it showed our character that we were prepared to like do whatever it had to do to get the job done. Like obviously we were in communication with the competition and told them what happened. Hey, it might not be on. Like I told them that I got arrested in that country. And they were cool with it. They were like, hey, obviously your health and safety is first.
Yeah. Hope you make it.
Hope you make it, let us know what happens. But then, everyone found out around the paddock, and it wasn't a joke, but everyone was like, hey man, I heard, what the fuck, this is crazy. And sort of that was kind of a defining moment of like Race Starter Labs, where we proved that the tech worked at that event, the radios and the drift masters, all that environment, and that we're willing to like put our nuts on the line. Like, yeah. So I think that sort of demonstrated our character a bit, that, it could have gone really bad, but we sort of said, fuck it. And we said, stuff it. And we went all in and sort of proved it from that. But again, part of the learning process, we courier the equipment where possible, not put it on planes through the Middle East. And we use like third parties to get the equipment around. And obviously, when we transit it, we obviously have all the right documentation for it, like radio. So we obviously had radio frequency licenses to use them in Budapest. So that was all above board. We had permission from the local government to use the equipment. It was just, there was a misunderstanding with this particular government, that they thought I'd lied on these official forms. And so we avoid that now when we do, we obviously work in the Middle East, and they're, one of our biggest, that's, the November to February sort of work for us. The Middle East is like a big, nothing against them really. It was just basically a massive understanding with us and the local police. And I heard it's sort of their way to like be a little bit aggressive. And again, I'm not saying anything negative about the government over there. I would just put it down to a massive misunderstanding, and eventually we broke down the barriers and they let me go, and it was fine. So, but learnings. Who would have thought? Yeah, who would have thought? That was a bit of a defining moment for us, I think, and a great story. And
phenomenal story.
Yeah, we still like, it's still a joke. You're going through the Middle East, now that we've done some work in the Middle East, we have a bit of a phone book of phone numbers that we can call.
So I can think of a few people that you could call. We have
those phone numbers now. So you get in trouble, you call this number. It's okay. So we now officially have, the pass. So two of our clients in the Middle East are the government bodies from the Middle East. So like OIDC is run by the Omani Automotive Association. It's a government client. And one of our clients, Liwa, they're a division of the UAE, so the Abu Dhabi Board of Tourism and Culture and Tourism. So they're effectively a government client. So you get in trouble, you call this number. It's okay. Yeah. So we have those phone numbers now and those contacts.
You're made man now. Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate about the relationships and connections that we've made in the journey. Obviously, yourself and the drivers and the teams and the rest. So the phone book is quite it's quite awesome at the moment. Yeah, pretty fortunate. That's good. That.
I really hope you're not paying full price for gear, because if you use podcast 26 at checkout, you are going to be saving a bunch of money at shopfd.com. That is right. There's so much cool stuff there, between hats. They've got shirts and skateboard decks, and just they're always coming out with crazy, crazy stuff. I mean, last year they did amazing baseball hats for every round. Maybe they'll do something similar. I have no idea. They don't tell me these things because they know I just talk about it. But what I am talking to you about is using podcast 26 at checkout and saving yourself 20%. Did you know that premium podcast listeners have already heard this episode? Yes, they get it ad-free. They get extended content. They get a bunch of really, really cool stuff, all for $5 a month or $50 for the entire year. All you have to do is head over to outerzonepod.com and sign up for it. You get entered into giveaways completely for free. You get all the stuff I already talked about. You get to help build this show. We talk to our members a lot about what we want to do about guests and giveaways and promos. You get a discount on Outerzone merch. There's so many cool things that you get with this. It helps support the show. It helps us do cool things and bring you just more amazing content. We have so much cool stuff in the works for this year, and we already thank all of the members that have already signed up. So if you don't want to sign up, I totally get it. You get episodes the exact way you've always gotten them. This is just a way that you can help support what we do here at the podcast just a little bit more. So thank you for your consideration, and back to the show.
Officially, we did 24 events last year, but it was actually like 28 because we did a bunch of practice days or test days that no one knew about. So I was in front of a screen, in front of a drift car, at least once a fortnight last year.
Damn.
So it's pretty crazy. The only other guy that I know is doing more is Vernon.
Vernon, yeah.
Yeah, so...
He's a whole other animal.
Yeah, he's a beast. Yeah, he's got a higher flight count than me, but I think I got more hours because I'm going from Australia.
I think so. It is a weird competition that we all have about our flights and the comparisons.
Yeah, you're up for some logistics this year.
I'm going to do pretty well. I'm going to do pretty well on my flights this year. I had my count on my phone somewhere else. I can pull it up. I have a interesting question for you. So this is off the member stuff. This was back to my own deep dive, and I think this would be a tough call for you. Of these 3 sets of wheels, which ones do you regret selling the most? The Work CRKs, the Wed Sport SAs, or the Raygram lights in both luminous pink and yellow?
Man, I really liked all of those. I'm a big CR guy. Like, I loved them. And I've had like
very nice
a bunch of pairs. Yeah. The Graham lights are really cool. I've had them in pink, the fluorescent green, and like a grey.
Yeah.
I sold the pink and yellow ones because I kept on getting pulled over.
Fair.
Yeah, I was right. That was a street registered drift car. So at my local track's about half an hour away. I could just drive there and drive back. So those wheels were on that car. But yeah, I used to get pulled over a bit with those wheels because they're hot pink and hot yellow. So I sold them. But yeah, man, I'm a product of the 90s, and the Work CRs. Yeah, I don't know. There was just something about them that I really like. They don't make them anymore. I don't see them much anymore. But if I had another car, they were on. I think you're talking about my 370Z that I had them on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them. Yeah, they're probably my favorite. They're probably my favorite wheel. And yeah, if I get I sold my drift car because I'm never at home and money's for plane tickets.
Yeah.
But the plan is, I hope this year to fly less and to get another car, and I'll put some CRs on them if I can find them.
There you go. I'm holding you to it. I expect a photo as soon as you buy them.
Yeah, or I'll put some Strom wheels on it because obviously I like those wheels, and Chris from Strom is a friend of mine, and I think what he's doing in the sport is really cool as well. So yeah, I'm more of a representing the. I'm fortunate that I meet a lot of people, and yeah, I like to, if I can, give something back to the homies and help other homies out. And I think Chris, he's a great guy. You've met Chris.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he's doing, obviously he could just sell wheels and whatever, but he's putting so much back into the sport. And I see that. I respect that so much.
Yeah.
Like the other day, like we posted that we're working for FD. He was like one of the first people to message me and say, "Hey mate, congratulations."
See, it's those little things, right? It's like in such a big world of our community, it's the private DMs or the text or the call that because we could post something really cool and you're gonna get a bunch of messages and stuff, but it's somebody who took the time to not post it publicly, who shoots you the DM, who is like, "Hey man, that's sick. Like, congrats." Like, it's amazing the difference in feeling that has.
Absolutely. And yeah, I respect what he's doing so much. He's like I feel like I'm hustling pretty hard. Flying and engineering, all this shit, trying to hustle to make it all work. I feel like him and a lot of guys, there's a lot of guys on the same sort of hustle level, and I think I feel he's on it. You're on it, you're hustling really hard. I feel like there's a bunch of guys that are really giving it a good crack, and I see that and I acknowledge it and I respect it. And so it'll either be some CRs or some Strom wheels for me.
All right, sick. I like that.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever beat your marathon time of 3 hours, 43 minutes and 45 seconds?
Great question. And yeah, some sad news actually. And So I did that marathon 2.5, 3 years ago, maybe 4 now.
2022.
And 2022, yeah, 3 years ago. And since then, I developed an injury in my hip, and I have stage 2 arthritis in my hip.
What?
I know.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I have a geriatric hip.
I shouldn't laugh, but it's
dude, it's terrible. And like one of my things was like I'd land at a country, Latvia. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll have a little bit. I'll throw the runners on. I'll go for a bit of an explore. I'll go for a run, and that was kind of like my thing. And good like travel hack for jet lag, mental health. Obviously exploring the area. So that was like one of my things. I'd land. If it was daytime, I would throw my shoes on and go for a run. But yeah, I had this niggling little hip issue and didn't go away. And I eventually went to the doctors like a year and a half ago, CT scans and x-rays, all that. And the guy was like, do you want the bad news or the really, really bad news? And I'm like, I just thought it was like, he's like, dude, you need a hip replacement. I'm like, what? That's like for like 80-year-old dudes that have fallen off chairs and stuff. He's like, yeah, man, my other hip is fine. So it's like, it's not because I've been running all day. He's like, yeah, unfortunately, mate, your running days are over. So, yeah.
I feel bad for asking.
No, it's a bit of a thing, unfortunately. My thing now is swimming. So
okay.
Obviously, yeah. So, but there's no pools that you can swim around countries, little sides in. So
I mean, you can swim in Long Beach, so that's all right.
I'll swim at the beach. Yeah.
Yeah. Atlanta is going to be an issue. Orlando, there's lots of water. I mean, I'm 30 minutes to the ocean, so you're good there.
All right.
It might get a little off when we get to like Connecticut and like middle of the country. There's some lakes and stuff. And then Seattle, you can go swim in the other ocean. And there's time. We'll find you.
Well, I try to put myself in hotels that have pools in them now. So I try and do that. Just again, mental health and jet lag and stuff.
For jet lag, it's huge, and I hate running. Like you and Piotr, believe it or not, were both said the exact same thing. We're like, get off the plane, go for a run. And I'm like, I hate running. He's like, even if you just go for a brisk walk, like just go be active, and then your jet lag will go away. Yeah,
I find it like knocks about half of it off. So there's a few things you can do to knock jet lag off. You can fly business, that's one. You can, eat and drink water and, exercise is the third. And the fourth is, I won't even mention it because it's legal, but I use some prescribed medication to help me sleep in odd time zones. So that helps as well. But I
was going to say melatonin's like over the counter here. You can just stock up while you're here. I'm sure there's other things though. I've tried melatonin. It doesn't work great for me. I use something else, but obviously all prescribed by a doctor and stuff. But to answer your question, no more marathoning, which is that sucks.
But I will say this, it was a goal. And I achieved my goal. So the goal was to complete the marathon. I had 3 goals. One was to complete it. One was to complete it under 4.5. One was to complete it under 4. So I got my top tier goal. So like I've done it. And then the next one was triathloning. So I was triathloning for a little bit, and now I'm a geriatric that needs a new hip. So
I'm sure the flying is not helping that either, though. Like we're sitting for 8, and then programming is not helping. And then you get to the event, like sitting. They say sitting's the new smoking, and if that's the case, then I'm gonna have a problem.
There's some guys, Mike Leeson, who's a commentator in Oman. There's a joke.
I like Mike.
And Mike's cool. And the joke was that, and not to toot my own horn here, is that I'm the hardest working guy in drifting. And I think there's a little bit of merit to it. Because
I still think you and Vernon have to go head to head, man. I don't know. That dude.
Well, look, Vernon, he definitely does more events than me. Guaranteed. But I'm definitely doing more air miles. And when we're at the event, so I get there the day before practice starts, and every day that I'm at the track is their full days. So I'm the first guy there, and I'm the last guy to leave. So
okay, all right.
So
I mean, what about James Dean, Connor Shanahan, Jack Shanahan doing both series, wrenching on cars?
They're all. I think like those guys have sick off season.
Top five.
I'm definitely top 10, easily top 10.
Okay. Yeah.
Top 5 maybe, and then probably be a battle between. Look, I'm not too. Like, I'm sure guys with the top teams, like, I know Peter, like, I know a little bit, like, whispers about what he does, like, on the off season and stuff, and, like, nuts.
Oh.
And I'm sure, like, I see, like, the Shanahans, like, they're at 360, like, they're probably, I think Jack was saying that they get there, like, once a week. And like they're building cars and they're maintaining businesses and like they're getting their programs down. Like
new shop.
I have no doubt they're doing some mental hours as well. But
I agree. You're in contention. I would. Yeah. There are people I look at and it makes me feel like I'm not doing enough, and you are one of those people. Like you and Vernon, and like I said, like finding out that like James is the same age as me, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, those guys are. I have the utmost respect for those guys putting programs and cars together, and like obviously James, like he's building cars for sponsors that, you know, help his program. Obviously, that takes time and resource, and it's like me and like you and like them. Like it's not like 5 o'clock start comes and it's off. Like I try to do that. I try to have like a designated time when my phone is just not in front of me. But you know, like the phone, I imagine like him and any big driver and you got like anyone that's sort of in an international style in this industry in the international level. Like I get messages from guys in Europe at whatever o'clock, and then from America at whatever o'clock, and guys from Central Asia at whatever o'clock. So like I opened my phone, there's like 50 messages, and I was like, oh, hey, can I get a meeting? And and I'm sure like that's it. Like if you're competing on that level on an international event, your phone is beeping like mine. I have no doubt. I think that's one of the parts that like gets glossed over so much with these drivers. Like any driver at any level is just how much time is going into like the off season, like and just the constant. Like Derek Madison just started his own pro-am, and I'm like, dude, you went pro last year, you know, and then now you're like, oh, I'm going to do my own pro-am with 4 events. It's like, Jesus, man, like congrats, that's insane. I'm so happy for you, but that's nuts. And then Simon Olsen is doing both series this year, so you're like, cool. You know, and then I honestly don't know what's happening with the Shanahans yet. I've been reaching out, but you know, it is what it is.
It's probably nuts.
Exactly. But there's just so many people.
Yeah, spending some time with the Shanahans, like the amount of, and I'm sure this is the same across the board on like all guys at that pro level, that the level of depth that these guys are going into to extract the performance that they are out of these cars and their driving and their program, it's not like you have to be sick. Like you have to have something like you need to be, it's not for everyone. And like I've had people come up to me and say, oh, hey, I want to drive FD, or I want to drive Drift Masters, I want to drive this. I'm like, I don't think you appreciate what it takes to be competitive at that level, or just all the other stuff around it to make it happen. You definitely need to be a different kind of human just to be there and to compete there and to like, get to performance and get yourself to that level. It's crazy. Like I've learned that over the last couple of years, the level that these guys are at is like superhuman. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm thinking through the roster of FD, and it's like, you know, you talked about Rome, like Rome goes to Indonesia. He's all over the world driving multiple programs. Jeff Jones runs a company, runs Hot Pit Auto Fest, which is like one of the best feeder series in drifting right now, if not like the best non-pro series in the world. I'm going to put that out there because it's ridiculous how good that series is. Like, and that's just scratching the surface. And those are people who are public about what they're doing. There's so many guys that are running companies and doing all this other stuff, and they don't post about it, they don't talk about it. They're just quietly doing it to pay for their program or family business or whatever it is.
And it's again fortunate, but it's only really because like I'm a fan. Like I was watching Drift Masters on Formula Drift before Race Starter Labs, and I was like, one day if I get there, that'd be amazing, and it's really cool that we're there. So, but like I'm a fan at heart, and like you sort of see obviously these guys' social media, you obviously when they're driving, so that's sort of like your engagement and touch points with most of these guys. But once you get to know them and like have a beer with them in the pits and like wow, like you sort of looked up to them, but then you really understand what's going on behind the scenes, and you're like, I had no idea. I thought I knew what was happening in this world, but you get humbled very quickly by the hours and the commitment and like the brain power these guys are like putting into the sport. It's incredible. Yeah. So it's definitely a whole new world that I was not exposed to 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's cool to get the human side of it to go along with the highlight reel that we get on social media, because that's all social media is, right? It's just the best bits. Yeah, it's newfound respect, and I'm super fortunate that I get to have a beer with some of these guys after an event and pick their brains and be like, hey, I saw this happen. Why? What happened there? Oh yeah, we changed this and we changed that because of this and this, and I'm like, I thought I knew drifting until you told me these 5 things 10 seconds ago. It's like, I know. Yeah. It's like I was speaking to Jack, and he was telling me about the differences between their 2Js, right? And they're not identical 2Js. I think they run different turbos and different. He's like, yeah, I like this kind of rev range because I like when I transition, I like to get the rev range here, and that means I need to put this particular valve spring in. I need to use this particular turbo size rear housing, and then that means I got to load up the rear more, and I like to put it. And I was like, what? And so he's doing this. It's like a front to back setup for his particular style, and it's different to Connor. Yeah,
and like I was so humbled by it. Like, I'm like, dude, I just thought you're a team and you just share the same component. Like, obviously I approach as a naive sort of, again, a fan. I'm like, you're a team. You both run 2Js. Why wouldn't they be identical? So if this one breaks, you can just, oh no, dude, in theory, that's a good idea. But kind of like to do this and I like to do this. And that means I need to have this RPM range and he likes to have this RPM range. And he runs it at, and I'm paraphrasing here, these are not exact things. But yeah, that means he runs this turbo with this valve spring and this thing, and I run it like this, and I like to run this gear. And I was like, what? And like, but here's the point I'm trying to make is, like, these guys are figuring all this out and rocking up to the first event with all this knowledge and all this setup. Like, you can't just like rock up in a car and drive. You can't just like they've tuned all this stuff over there forever, and they're tuning it off the off season, and they're experimenting. And like someone was saying that, I won't say who, but like, they're putting this one particular shim on this knuckle and it's moving it 1 mil, and every time it goes out, he like adjusts it and it like does something, and it's like, they're like sick for it, man. They're like experimenting and changing stuff and like coming up with concepts. Oh yeah, I'm going to try this, and they go and they do it, and this worked. And like, it's not just I rocked up with a car and it was good and I drove it. Nah, man, not that. It's tuning the drive and tuning the cars and getting it like, and you need to rock up and it needs to work and it needs to be robust, and you need to be on your gainer drive. Like, it's like, oh my God. And that's sort of been my biggest crazy learning from being at that level.
Well, and then they'll get into a wreck and like, the car is like half demo. They barely get it back together, right? You have this super precise scalpel laser, hypodermic needle of a vehicle, and then they just beat the hell out of it. It's barely back together, and then they go back out and they still do absurd stuff.
Yeah. Like it happened at OIDC. There was a guest driver driving someone else's car, and it was like, it's shared. It's not set up how I like it. But over the course of the event, they tuned it and they got it dialed. And you can't just rock up to an event and drive a car and, well, look, some people can, no doubt. Like obviously, if you're at that top level, you generally rock up into a car and drive it pretty well. But yeah, but the nuance and the attention to detail that these guys are bringing to the field, it smashed my brain to bits. And I thought I knew drifting. I thought I knew.
Oh, I know.
I half thought I knew what I was talking about. Yeah.
I'm humbled every day.
Yeah. So like I like to stick in my lane and like talking about, data and GPS and what's the difference between this and that. And like I'm obviously pretty specialized in my niche, but yeah, I guess a big moral of the story, everyone's like at that level, like all the way from the organizers to the judges to the commentary team to the guys running the production, like it's there's so much that goes into it that's outside of sort of the field of vision of like what a fan would see. And yeah, being part of that world, it's like, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. It's really
it's crazy. A wild time.
Absolutely.
Considering that you have built a product that right now aids in human decision, but I mean, there's obviously the conversation about it, like potentially taking over. Do you think this is something? Do you think that the Wally system or computer aided judging or whatever however we want to display it, do you think it's something that will unite the fan base because of more information, or do you think it will divide it because now we're going to have like the old school humans are better versus the new school computers are better?
Great question.
It's a deep one, I know. So I keep it till near the end. I got to warm you up.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no worries.
I think you're always going to have, like with the introduction of tech, there's always going to be some guys that like it, some guys that don't like it, and like some old school guys and some new school guys. The way that I explain it to people that don't really understand, like I'll meet someone in the street and they'll be like, oh, hey, what do you do for a job? I'm like, all right, prepare yourself. I've developed a product that goes on drift cars and it captures their data and it does X, Y, and Z. And they look at me with this blank stare and they're like, what do you, I don't understand. So the simplest way that I describe it is tennis. So tennis, right? The game of tennis.
Yep.
There was a judge, and he would watch the ball do this. And he would have to try and see if the ball hit a line at the back corner, and the ball's flying, right? They smash these balls at, 50 miles per hour or whatever. And he would, after sitting there for hours and hours and hours, would have to try and determine if the ball hit the line or not. Obviously, that was hard. So they introduced a line judge, and a line judge would sit at the line, and all he would do is stare at this line, right? And just watch balls come at this line, and oh no, that was in, or no, that was out. And he would just stare at this line for hours, but he was a human, right? And humans blink, and humans just got to scratch their eyes, and mistakes got made, right? So eventually that line judge got replaced by a computer. It got replaced by a camera and a computer, and the camera and the computer was tracking the ball, boom, seeing if it was hitting the line. And now that judge, the ball guy, the line guy got, he got other duties, but that judge can now say the ball was in or out.
Yeah.
And it was accurate. And that's what I think, that's what we are introducing to the sport, or what we're trying to introduce to the sport. So like, I can't tell you the amount of calls where there's been a read camera angle, or there's been like the drone was like here and there was smoke, or, it happened really quickly and you couldn't tell. And we are now the camera that can see what happened. Was there a collision because of this? Was there a collision because of that? The camera missed it, the drone missed it. It was on the other side of the track, but the data captured it, and the data tells the story. And the story is that either this driver slowed down or that driver sped up. And yeah, the finger in the air, the guesswork is removed a lot from those sort of decisions. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, I think that's super positive. Like the fact that the ball hit the line is now, it's not a guess anymore. The judging element, so like, you'll see when the FD rules come out and how we've sort of engineered the judging. But so just so you know, I was one of the guys that wrote the rule book for how the digital system is judging the sport based on my knowledge and my learnings over the last couple of years, alongside some other industry guys. But we effectively engineered it in a way to remove some of the things that we all thought was the issues. It was bias in what your eyes can and can't see, bias in wheelbase, and what some cars had some advantages over. And the focus was not to have an opinion. It was fact. The car did this, so that car did this better, so it's better. We tried to remove the bias, but again, between visual stuff and driving stuff, and just let the numbers do the talking. That car had more angle here. That car hit that zone better. Fact. Like, that's it. Like, we're not, I think it did it better because of these reasons, or I think it did better. We're just saying this car performed on this part of the track. It did this. The ball hit the line there, or the tire hit the line there, or this car had more angle. Like, I can show you a bunch of our data and runs where I can say, try and guess which car had a better average angle over the course. Use everything at your ability to try and guess which car had more angle. And this isn't like, an objective thing. It's like, which car had more angle? Tell me. And your eyes can't really do it that well. Cameras can't really do it that well. Our system can do it awesome. Yeah. And it's like, which car had more angle? Well, that car had more angle at these spots. This car had more angle at this spots. And over the course of the run, this car did it better. End of story. So, like, that's what my perspective is. Like, I'm not trying to, I don't think judges are getting replaced at all in most capacity for the near future. Definitely in tandem, because there's just so much nuance in between what's happening in a judging box during a tandem battle. But we are trying to be the line judge and say the ball was in or out, the tire was in or out. This car filled this zone better than that guy. So we're just trying to remove all the guesswork. And I don't. Obviously, I think that's awesome. Every judge that I've been in with the judging box has not said once the data's actually hurting what we're trying to achieve here. Every judge I worked with.
That was my next question. Was how has this been received by judges? Because you've run the gambit of Kieran Hines, yeah, and to Vernon, to judges all over the world of varying abilities and capacities.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we started small. We started pretty small, and we are, we're at FD. We might be at Drift Masters this year. It's unconfirmed yet, so I won't give any of that away. But I feel the acceptance in the industry is sort of validation of how the judges are interacting with the system, and we've categorically proven stuff that your eye can't perceive. Or
I've seen it.
Yeah, we've shown contact and what caused the contact where your eyes couldn't determine it. And a good validating metric here is the amount of one more times that happen when Wally's there and when Wally's not without there. So I'll use OIDC as a bit of a benchmark because we were just there a month ago, but they average, I think it was between 6 or 10 one more times an event. OIDC that just happened, they had 4 or 3. Okay. 4 or 3.
I think it was, something like that. I was think off it was the top 3. Of my head. Yeah.
I think it was 3 total. So we've removed, and if you use that as a metric of guesswork in the judging box, and again, I'm not discrediting the judging, how they do it. They do the best job that they can with what's available to them. Yeah. But there was 6 to 10 one more times per round. And sometimes they're awesome and they're justified in it, and absolutely. But sometimes, and most of the time previously, one more times were happening because the judges couldn't determine who was at fault because of smoke and angles and stuff. And, it's so hard to see if who was speeding up and so on. Like, it's so hard. Like, your eyes just can't do it with the perception it has. So, yeah, we had 3 for the whole championship. So it's the ball is in or the ball is out. We're giving that to the judges and we're like, this guy slowed down here and then he got hit. Or this guy sped up and this guy stayed consistent and then the collision happened. And it's like, well, then that's what happened, and that was why the decision was made. So, yeah, I'm yet to see a judge that hasn't seen it and not been like, yeah, A, like super impressed with it, and B, like, I want this, I need this, I need it. Like,
yeah,
like the head judge of Drift Masters, Dave Callis, me and him did an interview last year, and he was like, and he's the head judge of Drift Masters, right? Like, it's, he's a head judge, and he did an interview with me, and it was like, this is the best thing ever. And this particular battle where this collision happened, I used it, I made my call based off it, and it was like night and day. And like I was with Robbie Nishida last week, and there was a collision, and he was like, without the system, that would have been a one more time because he couldn't figure out with his eyes, couldn't figure out what had happened. And he's like, the collision happened, and he's like, that's the reason why. And the driver came up to us and was like, so what made you guys, like, he was picking our brains. And Robbie was like, we saw you slow down. And he's like, yeah, you got me. I was clutch kicking there, and it makes the car do this. Yeah, you got me. The data was right. And he had nothing to say. It was like the system showed you slowing down there, collision happened. And he was sort of like poking and prodding to see what he could get away with, if he could challenge it or not. And it was like, dude, the data's there, go watch it. You slowed down in that spot. And he's like, yeah, all right, I did. I clutch kicked there and it slowed the car down and I bogged down a little bit, and that's why I got hit. But yeah, I think that's one of the awesome things as well, because it's so kind of transparent. It's like, hey, dude, you slowed down here and you got hit. Go look at the data yourself and make your own call. And yeah, that's kind of been a pretty cool thing that I feel like we're giving the industry as well. Like in that case, I know for a fact he looked at it like 3 or 4 times, because we can see the traffic coming into the site, and it was and what page they're looking at, and it was like 20 people from Indonesia were looking at that particular run. I'm sure he was one of them because he was a driver.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know if FD's released it yet, or if you can say like what data is going to be available to the public for FD in particular.
Yeah, it's still ongoing conversation at the moment.
Okay.
And the conversation around it at the moment is that, and we've seen it a little bit, and it happens in the sport where people sort of use their bias. So obviously the data's there and it's pretty transparent what happens.
Yeah.
But through your lens, you can interpret it differently.
Yeah. So
a driver will interpret the data with their lens and their bias to say, oh, well, the data shows this, and that means that I should have won. When we interpret it from an objective perspective, and I guess interpretation's a big part of it. But when I interpret it, and when judges interpret it, they're looking at speed, angles, blah, 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 blah. And when the losing person of a battle interprets it, they'll just focus on the thing that they want to focus on.
Yeah.
So that's the question right now. And if we release that to the general public, it could, general public, obviously nothing against the general public of the drifting community, awesome, but they might view it as, with their lens and then make noise about it.
They get passionate.
Of course, yeah. And because it's all web-based, actually, I won't even go down there. I won't even put that into the public realm.
I think I know what you're getting at, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, we've had, you can't manipulate it, but yeah, you can focus on stuff that suits your narrative. And I think if we give the entire audience that ability, it might create more noise. But I think we might experiment with it and see how it goes, and then make a decision from there. So yeah, it's that's still ongoing. There's definitely going to be data during the live feed that you're going to be able to see that's extracted from the system that's going to be part of the broadcast for sure.
As long as I get the fire hose of everything, you'll get
the fire hose.
Let's go.
Yeah, we're obviously heavily integrated with the production team at FD, and there is definitely going to be some data insights that you haven't got before. FD, to their credit, have like really embraced the tech and pushed it to like, hey, we're going to adopt the tech. What can we do? How can we leverage it? How can we exploit
What's
it?
next?
Tell a better story. So that's really just like Drift Masters have done in the past, and like other competitions have done, just leveling up. So they've embraced it, obviously. And yeah, there's going to be some really interesting stuff in the broadcast that, I'm really excited about. It's just going to be really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, literally from the first day that I met you, where I basically tried to tear apart the whole system. Because for anybody listening, basically the first time you and I met, you showed me it. You just opened a laptop and you're like, here's what we've got. And I went, okay. And I think I turned to you and I went, do you want me to tell you everything I think is wrong with it? And you're like, sure, let's go. And we sat there for like an hour and I'm like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And you're like, fuck, there's some good points in here. And then you came back the next day. You're like, here's what we have now. And I'm like, okay, this is what I wanted. It's exactly what I wanted.
It's been awesome. Like I remember very vividly our first meeting. It's like, oh, hey, Jacob, Michael, yeah. And you're like, just so you know, I'm a big data guy. Guy. And like, as soon as they say that, beads of sweat, like.
Well, it's like my entire day job is reading data analytics. Like I spend 6 to 8 hours a day. Now mine is all human behavior when it comes to e-commerce, but you still see numbers, you see trends, you see information. And then I think the biggest thing I was asking about was data integrity. Cause I'm like, if you don't have good data integrity, the data is useless. And then the whole thing falls apart. Yeah,
exactly. So, obviously, like, not to shy away from it, the system's not like, it's obviously been a development stage and there's been like events where it hasn't performed great. We've obviously enhanced it and built in features and reliability and as we've gone, but yeah, obviously like it hasn't been perfect from the day we launched it. And there's definitely been times where it's like, oh, that card's looking a bit funny and hey, don't use the data from that run. It's not great. But when it's good, we can confidently say it's good and you can use it obviously for analysis and judging and whatnot. But yeah, obviously at the start I was like, oh, that run looks a bit funny. It's like, yep, that run, don't use it, it's bad.
Cars doing 360s out of nowhere and
Yeah, we're fixing the 360 stuff. But yeah, again, learning process and adding stuff to it. But so our performance metrics for the events that we work with is our accuracy and our capture rate. And effectively, we need to work within the bounds of 99 and above % of accuracy and capture rate. So that's our internal metric of performance. And so we obviously want to capture every single run with the highest amount of accuracy that's available. And obviously with FD, we need to capture every single qualifying run perfectly. Like it's just, it's part of the rule book, so obviously that's a bit of pressure, but we are in the best position to deliver that. And yeah, again, in the off season, we developed a new device. It's even better and it's doing this. And, all of our learning and experience up to this point has led us to this moment. And we feel confident that we can deliver that. We will see. But yeah, the last 10 events, we've been at 99 or higher in terms of our capture rate and our accuracy. So you probably saw that at OIDC, you probably saw that at Indonesia. Liwa, we did, like 3,000 runs and they're all like really good. So as the technology's progressed, it's got better and better and better. And it's sort of at that point where it's, I'm not going to say plug and play, but it's like you put a device on a car and it goes and it's good. So, And, credit to Drift Masters and the guys that sort of saw us early on and said, hey, these guys are doing some really cool stuff, and they supported us. So like they knew that it was still, we're developing and stuff. But yeah, they helped us to get to where we are. So obviously we're, forever grateful for that opportunity. But, we feel like we earned our spot. And yeah, we're obviously really grateful for the opportunities that have come about of all of that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited. As much as I've given you shit at times and pushed you, I think it's worked out well. And it's been fun jockeying back and forth, because like there'll be runs that come up and I'll bring up something and been like, this proves the point. And I look over and you're doing one of these at me, going like, what would you be doing without this? So that I think has been my favorite part, is the playful banter you and I have had over the last year.
I can recall this. And funnily enough, you were the genesis of this. So me and we'll say that the drifting industry, when we were developing the rule book, and so I developed a concept called the Universal Drift Scoring Method.
Right.
Okay. And this is what the FD rulebook is currently based on. Effectively, I'm trying to establish, again, privileged to be in the position I am. I get to see a lot of drifting around the world, and it generally isn't scored the same. And like the way like a clipping zone is scored is different in the Middle East than it is in Europe or in America or in Kazakhstan, right? So, and we've got clients all around the world that are using the system. So I sort of came from the approach of, hey, if people are using the system, why don't we come up with a way that it's pretty universal across all the regions that are using the system. So it's, understood. Once you understand the concept, that's how you're going to get scored. And I took, concepts from, obviously Drift Masters and how FD were doing it, and the Middle Eastern guys. So I sort of took all the learnings that I had from around the world, and I sort of put it together into this method effectively. And that's how effectively we're using the scoring for FD. And a backstory is that I engage with the wider drifting community to help me develop this. So I spoke with judges, I spoke with event organizers, I spoke with drivers at large, and I'm like, hey, I've got this idea. What do you think? Pick it apart for me. They're like, well, if that was the case, and I would do this in my car, and that means I could do this. So I think that's a bad idea. Cool. Change something. Oh yeah, clipping zones. What about if we did this? Oh, well, if that was this and that was this, then that's a good idea. And that's so the method, it's been in development for our experience from capturing data for over 3 years, that's gone into it, and the wider community of drivers and whatnot has gone into it. So I think that's a pretty awesome and powerful thing. But one of the things is how we measure angle. Okay. So once the rule book is published, I can talk more about it. But the way that we measure angle over the course of a run, generally, it's the way we measure it last year, which is where we've had multiple conversations over it. We use the metric of average angle. So it's the angle that you hold from the start of the judge start line to the finish line. And obviously, if you're holding more angle throughout the course, you get a better score than someone that's shallow. The technical term is average angle. Okay, so the system will give a score based on the amount of points that it captures, the angle that it captures, and it basically does an average. So it adds them together and does a division, sorry.
Division, yeah.
So if your run is only, if you do a massive entry and you stop, the system doing its average angle calculation will only take that part and use that for your score, which is where you once, and not your fault, this is what you were just reading off the screen, like some guy did a massive entry and then stopped. And his angle score was mega. He had the best angle score of the day. And at that point in time, you could sort by average angle, maximum angle, blah, blah, blah. And he had the best angle score of the day.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And you were like, and I think you read it out, and then maybe you put your hand on the microphone, you're like, I don't think that's right.
Yeah, I remember this, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, Like, and the point that you're making, like that guy spun and he shouldn't have the best angle score of the day. So anyway, we put provisions of that into UDSM to stop that happening. So, and it's sort of the unspoken Jacob Gittins rule.
I'll take it.
Yeah, well, I know. You somewhat made it
funny.
Famous.
All right. It's funny because I know there's like Curtis has had an impact on it as well with like speed.
Yeah,
like Curtis wanted speed to be a part of this where it's like can have angle, but we still need that back into it. He was a big fan of like how speed was a judging element before. And he's like, let's bring it back in. And I think that is important too, is that FD is not the place where a fully automated qualifying is being trialed. That's already basically been done and proven and with very limited kickback.
Yeah. So credit to the clutch kickers guys, Kurt and Kenny at Mid Pond. So we obviously deployed the system there. We ran it for two events. And the system was obviously giving out scores for qualifying, and they were pretty much matching up what the judges. I was one of the judges. I was a judge for the first round. Jesus, I can't remember. There's so many.
Yeah.
But they're like, hey, the scores that the system's putting out and its ranking is pretty much matching what the judges are spitting out.
It was within 2 or 3 points most of the time. Every once in a while, I was like off by 5, but not by not very often.
Yeah, and the big advantage, and this is sort of why FD have embraced it so much, we can give a score 3 or 4 seconds after the car crosses the finish line. So when we trialed it, so the first couple of rounds at clutch kickers, I think qualifying took about 3 or 4 hours. It was pretty long. I think there was some weather issues or not, I can't remember. But yeah, it was taking about 3 or 4 hours. Car would go, you'd have to sit there, you'd rewatch it. Oh yeah, this happened, that happened, write down a score. I think that was a 70-point run. And that process was about 3 or 4 minutes. So you multiply that by 40 cars, and there's 2 cars, adds like an hour and a bit of just thinking time and air time. The system can do it in about 3 seconds. So when clutch kickers ran it in its autonomous mode at, I think it was rounds 3 and 4 and 5, they did the whole field 2 runs in under an hour. So it was like the level of judging was similar, or if not better than the human judges, and it knocked out an hour and a half plus of airtime, which was effectively replays and commentary guys saying, oh yeah, the judges are just reviewing, and oh yeah, here comes the score, it's any second now. That eliminated all that. And it was like, run, 66, run, 72, run this. And because that was so quick, it sort of created this little, like, I won't say Formula One style, like shootout, like, oh, he's gone better and he's popped up, and like it created a little bit of that because it was so like rapid fire. And I believe Ryan saw that and he's like, that is the way that qualifying is potentially going to work with us, because they were thinking about bringing qualifying back, but I think it was a broadcast time that was sort of killing them. It was like the hardcore fans were watching qualifying. Like if you're a big drifting fan, you watch qualifying, you watch practice, you watch everything. But like, I think what it was is for the casual viewer, it was rough. It was, and even for the non-casual viewer, it got pretty rough. And the replay, same thing, the replays going back through, even just in battles, to be able to go through scrubber run in the 3D view and be like, here's what the accident was, here's who's at fault. That could save 5 replays. Like, that could be 2 minutes right there that we've just shaved off, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're trying to make a broadcast time fit a very neat little box in a narrow window, that's everything. Yeah. And like to circle back to the one more time thing, like, as I said, OIDC, that was like between 6 and 10 one more times per round. And we got that down to like 3 or 4 for the whole event. Like 10 one more times. Like, what's that? An hour? Yeah. Yeah. And then on that one more time, there's a 5-minute rule. And on that, there's a crash, and then there's whatever. So like those one more times and all the times for all that, they add up quick. And because we're like, we review, it might take us a minute or two more to review the Wally data like accurately and precisely, but it's knocking out a whole nother run and all the other follow-on shit, the 5-minute rules and all that shit that comes on after that. So because we minimize that, we saved a bunch of time.
I think it should be one run, a replay. As soon as that replay is over, scores are in, and that's it. Like I only like selfishly because like the replay is where I jump in. So if you completely eliminated that, you're killing off a lot of jobs here, Michael. But that's how I can see it happening.
Yeah, from my understanding at the moment, we're going to try and make the qualifying as action-packed. And again, I'm not the producer of the show. I'm just a participant. But the concept is to make the qualifying so exciting and energy filled and rapid fire that you can't not watch and not look away. That's the whole point. Like some competitions get it done really quickly, but yeah, that's what we're trying to introduce with the Wally system and qualifying at FD.
It might feel more like a jam session as opposed to qualifying, right? Like it's going to feel like you're at a track, like at an open lapping day, and you're just watching cars rip by.
Yeah, that's it. And it's like, oh, he just got a 72. What can this guy get? And they're like line up, boom, and they're off. And it also stops a few things like weather changes. So if we can knock out a whole session in like pretty quickly, like an hour and a half, the likelihood of like rain coming in halfway through is limited. So again, a bias thing, like guys that were starting later in the pack sometimes were more susceptible to weather conditions changing, like the track getting cooler or hotter. So if it's done quickly, generally everyone's driving on a similar track. Generally,
yeah, that's fair.
I could talk about track surfaces until the cows come home if you want, but
we're already over 2 hours, so like as much as
are we?
Let's do a part two. Oh yeah. No, we're cranking through this, buddy.
Yeah, right. But by doing it sort of rapid fire reduces the likelihood of a weather change situation that might impact driving and whatnot. So again, trying to level the playing field.
Yeah. I do think you and I need to do a full part two, as much as I'd love to. Like, I have so many questions about like, hey, what's the speed reduction between a lead run and a chase run? Be like, due to tire wear. And I know you have all of this. It may not be sorted or processed, but it exists. Track conditions. Yeah,
I have a unique perspective on drifting that I dare say a few people in the whole world have got. Like,
yeah, I agree. You see it in such a different way than anybody else does.
Yeah, so I've been like part of the development process of UDSM and getting everything ready for FD and conceptualizing some of these things that we thought might be good ideas. We reviewed data from like 3 years. So like, cool, I've got an idea for this. And then, all right, let's validate this concept that we have with years of data and what actually happens on track. What actually happens, like, what is the speed difference between the start of the day and the end of the day? What is that?
Yeah.
What is the difference between, the top qualifying? What's the difference between his first run and his second run? And is that a thing that we should look at? What's the difference between speed from his qualifying run to his lead run? What's that difference? Is that interesting there? So, yeah, I dare say no one has gone in, like the data is available generally while that event's on, but I don't think, no one's got the access. The
you literally you don't have the keys, you made the keys. So yeah. So
we literally built the server. So I have access and we used everything at our disposal to leverage and exploit that data for our advantage to develop this UDSM system. So we took 3 years of data and took that learning and knowledge and experience and made decisions based on that. So it wasn't just like, oh, I've got an idea for clipping zones and this is why I think this. It was no. I can show you 300 examples of why this is a good idea and why that's a bad idea. And after like the third example, like, cool, we believe you, don't need to see the other 297 examples. But there was a lot of that.
Can you just like raw data table this whole thing and just let me go nuts with Python for like a week and just figure out what I can figure out? That's a bad idea. No, you don't want me to do that. Yeah.
No.
How about I just bring?
Yeah, of course. Like, we're buddies.
Like a 10 Yeah, I just bring a 10 terabyte hard drive to an event. You just fill that bad boy up, and then I'll go home and plug it in and see what I can make of it.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, absolutely you could. But like, there's so much nuance to it that,
I know.
we've had to get into the nuts and bolts of it to figure a lot of it out. Like
this, without opening the can of worms, this has been almost every round we have this conversation about how do you score style, right? Like, what is the mathematical formula, right? I know. I don't want to get into it. I kind of want to leave it to like people at home.
We'll leave this for round 2. So I think so, because let's have a chat when the rule book gets released, and I can discuss why decisions were decisions, and where I see things going in what direction and why.
I'm down for that. I think for anybody listening or watching at home, let me know if you can come up with a mathematical equation for what style is, given the information you've learned in this. I don't know. I gotta see it.
We've already got it.
I gotta see it. All right, we'll see.
Yeah, we've already got it. It's obviously will be controversial. So we're already 2 hours, so I'll try and keep this light.
It's all good.
The style metric. Obviously, this year we left it, and this is public. This was released in the press release from 2 days ago. Style is scored by humans, still is.
Right.
But we had a long debate, and many people a debate over style and what encompasses style and the scoring of style, because it's in the rule book. And there was discussions of how much style should be weighted and how much should it not be weighted, and should we call it style anymore? Should we call it deductions? And it was kind of crazy that the conversation went down of what is the community, what is their thinking like? So we
sorry to stop you really quick. If you're learning this very quickly, and I love Ryan Sage like he's another father to me or a brother, but he's so philosophical and big open-brained about all of this, where like you being so mathematically driven, and these are the same conversations I have with them, and he's very like, what is drifting? What is the point of drifting? What defines drifting? What are the characteristics and terminology, and how is it perceived? Like point to drifting to me. But it's so important too, because you and I get so wrapped up in like, well, this is this right here. Like this is the chart. This is what it is. And he's like, no, it's more than that. So anyways, continue.
Yeah. So we had to make decisions based on what we thought was the best thing, well, for FD and for the sport in general.
Right.
And that meant effectively putting our finger on the pulse of what we thought the community at large was, the global mindset was. So like, there was discussions around not calling that last metric style. We're going to give it another name.
Right.
And I sort of put my hand up and said, I think that's pretty controversial, because style has been a point of drifting since drifting was drifting.
Yes.
And while I think style is a controversial topic, and there's definitely pros and cons about changing that metric's name or its way that it's scored, me as a drift fan, I didn't think that was a thing that the wider community would kind of grasp or feel at the time. So if, this new system's coming out and style's gone, and this is the worst thing ever that happened to the sport. Style is the essence of drifting. They're taking it away, and I didn't want to have that much of a. I wanted to introduce a system into FD in sort of a gentle and palatable way, where it was, the fans would understand that our objective is to like increase transparency and score things in a subjective way and remove bias, and they're killing drifting and they're killing the essence of it. Like I didn't want to go down that route. So I sort of put my hand up and said, I sort of feel like we need to keep some of these elements that are true to the homage of drifting. So yeah, I didn't want to, put my take. I didn't want to let's fuck the judges and let's
tear it all down.
Yes, tear it all down. And, this is the way forward. And this is, people are just going to have to accept it. And this is the future and blah, 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 blah. We're the line judge now. And if you don't want to, we're not the line judge, then, get out of it. Like I absolutely didn't want that. That was just, again, being a fan, that was my sort of take on it, where, style and whatever's going to be an interesting thing. But me and Jeremy have sat at large and analyzed data and wrote code to style judging. And it's pretty awesome. And
I believe you.
Yeah, and we could definitely do it. I will say for qualifying, we could definitely 100% do it. For tandem, where I'm humbled every time I speak to one of these world-class judges when I'm in the box with them, because they will see stuff that my silly little human eyes cannot see, like Vernon and Kieran and Dave and Chris. Like I can run off judges' names all day, but so in judging box, generally I'm sitting in front of my terminal, which is a Wally system. I'm doing a bunch of things. I'm making sure the names are all correct, the scores are correct. If they're not correct, can we fix them? If they're not, I've got to flag it as incorrect. So I'm doing a bunch of things. So my focus is generally on the data, the integrity, babysitting it, watching, making sure it's all good. I'm sort of got my blinkers on and I'm focused on that. And part of that is I'll review the data and I'll review the replay, and we call it a sanity check. Just sanity check that the data, the car's not flipping around and all. We sanity check the data that it's all good. And then, so there'll be a call. So I'll watch it all and I'll watch the data and I'll be like, oh, yeah, that guy won, no problem. And then I'll hear the call because I don't know, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, but I hear the judge's call as it comes out of their mouth. Right. And sometimes I'm taken aback. I'm like, what? What are you what? You're kidding?
What?
No way.
Yeah.
And then, so when in between, so they'll put their call in, generally their microphones go off and they get ready for the next round. And I'll tap a shoulder and be like, hey man, explain that to me. I was on the other page.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everything that I'm seeing on my screen tells me the other way. And it will be, oh yeah, there was a D beat here because there was a little, did you see this little bit of air come out? And a D beat is an instant DQ. Like, fuck, I didn't see that. Well, obviously I got my blinkers on my screen, but the little puff of air coming out of the tire at a split second, some of these judges pick that up. And the system, we're not monitoring that.
Right.
We're definitely not monitoring that. That's not to say that we're probably never going to monitor that. So
tire pressure sensors in cars and oil pressure.
That's a whole nother level of integration. But little puff of air, it didn't affect the performance of the car. But in the rule book, a D beat is a D beat, and a D beat means you lose. So I don't, and that's in tandem battles. There's so many little things like that I don't even want to go near it at the moment. You've seen our scores when the system puts out a score, and I'd say 90% of the time the system's picking the winner that the judges pick, and that 10% that it doesn't is when there's an incident on track that the system's not programmed for, the DB or
decel or a checkup or somebody playing a game or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So when there's brake checking and stuff like that, we see it. The data shows it, and the judges are viewing. Oh yeah, there was definitely a decel there. But the system isn't programmed to for tandem battle in any way, shape, or form. We could, right now we're not because it's so complex. That'll be, I don't even know, it's not on our radar to do that at all because it's just so complicated. And there's a lot of guys just train an AI to plug the judges scoring in, and
we're not there yet.
yeah, there's so many little things that are outside of the realm of that. That yeah, it's just a real crazy, computer science problem to solve. But qualifying, we could do style tomorrow. And again, how it's scored will be subjective. But yeah, we've got we see this stuff every day. Like with the systems on once a fortnight. Like we see this stuff every day, and we're like, we could easily do style, but yeah, it was more of a culture shock than anything that a robot would be judging style. And yeah, it was sort of the decision of the wider community that the adoption of the tech would be gradual steps and to be palatable and not to rock the boat too much and not to annoy the purists. And as I said, the objective of the system is to be the line judge. The tire was in or the tire was out. This guy had more angle, that guy had less angle. That's it. Stuff that you can't see with your eye, that's what the system's meant to be. Style is a thing that is still, at your heart, and you sort of, you feel it, I guess. And that is still there and in place. So hopefully that's not disrupting the mindset of the drifting community at the moment.
I appreciate that. And I think that is a perfect spot to wrap up, sir. That's phenomenal. Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy day. It is tomorrow. Well, it is still today here because it is Wednesday for you and it's still Tuesday for me. For everybody listening and watching at home, please check out Race Data Labs on Instagram. You can follow along. There's a lot of cool behind the scenes stuff. Yep. Michael tends to post some really interesting things that pop up too, or like weird incidents and stuff like that. There's a lot of fun stuff that gets posted up there.
Thank you. Yeah, my weakness is that I need more focus on that. So I'll see something, I've got to make a video about that, and then I'll get stuck in the next day, and so I'm going to do more about that. I'm definitely going to apply, our team is growing, so we're going to have more capacity to do that for FD and for future rounds with this year. So there's going to be more behind the scenes stuff and more analysis. And so I started a little side thing on the Race Data Labs page called Through the Smoke, because the system can see through smoke, and we're going to do a little cool thing that we can see. So that's happening this year. So if you want to get a bit of an insight of that, follow us. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool.
But thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for having me. Chat was awesome.
Yeah.
And maybe part 2 when the rules come out, and we can, because there's going to be questions and why things are how they are for sure.
I'm wondering if we leave it to the end of the year and let's get through the year, and then we'll address it. I'm going to be doing one with the judges as well, so I'll have a conversation with them and get their side of this. And I think and then Sage he always gets an episode before the beginning of the year where he gets to explain everything that's happening, which it's always a good episode. But
awesome.
Dude, I appreciate it.
Anytime, let's chat, and I'll see you in 33 days.
Oh, lovely. All right. Well, thank you, sir. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening at home. And catch everyone next week. Available now for premium podcast members, Cody Buchanan. Okay, so before Pokemon cards and stuff,
I know you've got that crazy theory, so
I wouldn't say it's a theory. I think it's pretty confirmed. But anyways, there's just a photo of you nosed up in the wall and and it just says "Just Drive Better" on the back.
We're throwing shade, right? That's what we're doing. We're roasting tonight.
You have at it, man. I gotta somehow play Switzerland in this whole thing. Oh, she told me a few things. I'm not gonna lie. She was pretty happy to send me videos.
I've got some rats in this place, I'll tell you. I will die on Church's chicken.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe I need to give Church's another shot.